Happy Thursday, writers. Today for the writing workshop, you're going to need your box of crayons, glue stick, writing notebook, and your green ELA resource folder. Remember, this is in your anchor binder, so don't take out your folder. Just open your folder so you can look at the teach pages. On the right-hand side, you should have your writing resources. You are going to take out the resources, the first two that say complete sentences, and then the second one that says just the word sentences. Then place the rest of the teach pages back inside. You're then going to take out the practice pages and only take off the one that says subject and predicate. Then place the rest of those practice pages back behind the teach pages. Close your green folder, make sure that it's still in your anchor binder, and put this back in your basket so you can have for later. Then we're going to go ahead to our writing notebook. You're going to open up to yesterday's lesson, which was on types of sentences. We're turning the page. When we turn the page, we're going to then label the next lesson is on page 17. When we get back to our table of contents, we are going to continue our unit on sentences and paragraphs. So for number 17, we're going to be focusing on what makes a complete sentence. And then put today's date, which is 9-10-20. Then you may go ahead and turn back to page 17. We're going to go ahead and place the page that has the peanut butter and jelly on the left and the side that says sentences on the right. So use your glue stick. Turn your two teach pages over, make your border, and then the X through the middle. Remember, you can pause your video to get yourself caught up, and then push play when you're ready. Then take the right page, put the glue on the outside in the border, crisscross it, and then turn it over. And then make sure it's nice and smooth down. Once you're done, you're going to look on the left side. So yesterday we talked about different types of sentences and how punctuation and the information within the sentence tells us the author's meaning behind the type of sentence being used. So we had our bossy sentences. We had the sentences that were really questions. They were asking us something. We had our commands, which were the bossy, the yelling or excited sentences, and then the ones that told us something. And we would consider that more of an ordinary sentence. So today we're going to be focusing on what makes a sentence complete. So when we look on the left side, you can take your crayon if you want to, and we're going to just kind of use a light color to shade in the title of complete sentences. So remember, you can pause your video and then push play when you're done. And this is just to remind us that this is going to be something important that we want to make sure that we come back to, so we can reference to make sure that we are always using complete sentences within our fourth grade writing. So this goes to when we write our reflections in math or when we answer questions in social studies. We want to make sure that it's always a complete thought. And in order to know if it's a complete thought for a complete sentence, we're going to talk about the components or what makes a complete sentence. So the top, it says, I can produce complete sentences, recognizing and correcting inappropriate fragments and run-ons. So we'll be talking tomorrow specifically of what is a fragment and what is considered a run-on. So we're going to start at the box inside, and this is going to tell us that we have two parts of our complete sentences that always have to go together in order to be considered a complete sentence. So it's just like our comparison of peanut butter goes with jelly. They go together. So we're going to define what is a complete sentence. So you're going to write the definition. A complete sentence is a group of words related by meaning period And then we're going to have the two parts. So we're going to say the different parts of it. So the first is complete sentences always start with a capital. Capital letter. A second component would be that it ends with a punctuation mark. And then the third component, we're going to kind of tuck in, it has to have both a subject and a predicate. And I'm going to put both in capital letters. So has to have both a subject and predicate. And if you watch the preview of our lesson video on vocabulary, it talked about what is a subject and what is a predicate, and as well as in our video on Brain Pop. So a subject is who the sentence is going to be about, and the predicate is the action, or what is the subject doing within the sentence. So when we look at this, we're going to list some possible subjects, so giving ourselves some examples, and some possible or examples of what are considered predicates. So we are going to list some names. So the first name could be Landon. Mrs. Lang's just using one of my son's name. I could use Gabby's name. That's my dog. So I'm just putting Gabby, my dog, in parentheses. You could use the phrase my cat. You could use a pronoun such as he, she, or you could use my teacher. So we just listed a few examples of possible subjects, or who, a person, place, thing, that we could say a sentence is about. So we're going to write the word who in capital letters, just as a reminder. Subjects are who the sentence is about. Predicates are what they're doing. So we're going to put those in capital. So what they are doing. So we're going to just put some ideas. So we could say, well, someone could be playing with a ball. We could say is running in the yard. And we could say possibly is talking to the class. So just like we had some examples of who a sentence is about, so a subject, predicates are what they're doing. So they always begin with a verb. The verb is implying an action. So playing with a ball, running in the yard, or is talking to the class. Now we're going to take one of our examples from the subjects box and one of the examples of a predicate, and we're going to piece them together to create a complete sentence. So we're going to let's take the one about my teacher. So the subject is going to be brought down to put in the subject box, so my teacher. And we're going to take the predicate is talking to the class. So we're going to fill that in, is talking to the class. And we're going to rewrite it as that complete sentence, making sure that we have all three components. So starting with a capital, ending with punctuation mark, and they are having the subject and predicate within. So start with a capital. So my teacher is talking to the class, period, because this is just telling us something. So you should be able to identify not only that this is a complete sentence, but also what type of sentence based off of our work yesterday. The second example, we're going to pull another example. So this time I'm going to pull Gabby. And then I'm going to pull a possible predicate. So we can write, we're going to add a linking verb. So running in the yard, we need to add the word is running in the yard. And then when we put those two pieces back together, we need to remember the three components. So capital letter first, so Gabby. And then we continue on with our predicate, is running in the yard, period. So we were able to complete 2 sentences using the rules of having a capital letter at the beginning, punctuation mark at the end, and both of our examples have a subject or who the sentence is about and the predicate that is going to tell us what that subject is doing. So now before we move on to the right side, you can use your crayons to quickly shade in your jelly and your peanut butter pictures, your clip art real fast, just to add a little bit more pizzazz to it. So I'm going to be adding purple to my jelly because I love grape jelly. You can color it purple as well. You can do the red for some strawberry jam. That's up to you. Just go ahead and shade it in quickly. And then you can do the same thing for the peanut butter side. And I'm gonna be coloring in my peanut butter bottle purple just because I want to show that they're going together. And then at the top I'm gonna show where the peanut butter is. So inside is my peanut butter. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. You don't have to follow Mrs. Ling's shading connections. You can do your own. And I'm shading in for my grape jelly. All right, now moving over to the other side, our last side today, we're going to just look at the prescription for those complete sentences. So what are the components to make a sentence complete? So we said the first was must have a subject. So we're going to box the keyword, and that is who or what the sentence is about. The second is must have a verb. A verb usually is our indication that this is an action word. And we said that this is going to be telling us what they're doing. So we're going to just put a little note, what the subject is doing. And then we said the punctuation is going to indicate what type of sentence it is. So we can point out to say that there could be a period, an exclamation mark, or even a question mark. So when we create an example, you're going to do this in the blank area below. So we're going to write the sentence, the doctor works in the emergency room, period. Within this sentence, we're going to identify the components that make it a complete sentence. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get out a color to use to underline the subject or who the sentence is about. So we're going to say the subject, the complete subject is the doctor. So I'm going to write the word subject above it. So the color indicates what is being underlined. Then we're going to look for the action word. So the action word is going to be the word works. So I'm going to underline it and just kind of fill in on the side the word verb. So we have the subject, we have the verb, and then I'm going to use my third color to indicate the complete predicate. So We said that is works in the emergency room. And we're going to just write that as our predicate. So that's what the subject is doing. The last part that we said is important is making sure it has punctuation. So in order to show that it has punctuation, I'm going to use my final color and just box to say it has a period. And I'm going to just point down to say this is a punctuation. Mrs. Ling's using yellow, so it might be a little harder for you to see, but the word punctuation, the spelling, is right up here in the blank. So we have been able to identify the components of a complete sentence. Starts with a capital, ends with a punctuation mark, and it has to have both a subject and a predicate. The subject is who the sentence is about. The predicate is what they are doing, and we start with a verb to show the action. Today you are going to finish up your practice by completing your subject and predicate page. On this, the directions say to underline the subject and circle the predicate in each sentence. The first one was done for you. So it says, example, the polar bear swam in the cold water. So we're going to look at the next sentence to see what is the subject to underline and to circle the predicate. So it says the swim meet lasted for 5 hours. Well, the subject is swim meet, so we're going to underline. And then the action or the verb that starts the predicate is going to be lasted, so we're going to circle that word. So you're going to finish up the next few to make sure you underline the subject or who the sentence is about, and then circle the predicate. So you might even write yourself a reminder. The subject is who, and the predicate is what they're doing. When you're done with your practice, make sure you take a picture of both sides of your teach pages and your classwork to submit to me.